Hello, welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. 7 Puu. 121. You are too weak. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Gonfall woke up. Enel is a lone ranger, how could he come with others? And still from Qinghai. After taking a closer look, he was surprised to find that the leader was not Enel, who frightened him. His eyes widened suddenly, and he couldn't believe it. He had been a god for so many years, and he had seen countless big pirates, even the peak powerhouses in Qinghai, so his knowledge was not bad at all. He knows that people with Logia fruit ability are very rare in Qinghai, and they are also the most powerful. Especially for someone as irritable as Enel, who would strike at the slightest disagreement. How could it be possible to surrender to others? But the reality is, it seems to be the case. Sitting on the deck with a relaxed expression, Di stood beside Black Rose and Kuina, pouring tea for Di, with a faint 107 smile on his face. The cheeks were carved like God himself, even though he didn't do anything, but an invisible aura of a superior came to his face, making Gonfoer feel bursts of pressure. Advertisement. It was just because Enel's sudden appearance reminded him of what happened 2 years ago, and he was completely confused for a while, even thought of the tragic future of Sky Island in his mind. This is the right one. Gonfoer instantly confirmed what he thought, because even Enel was standing behind Di. The girl who almost vomited blood said that the king was not Enel, but this young man. Call. He immediately breathed a sigh of relief. The Qinghai pirates he had met were very reasonable and easy to talk to. After all, as long as they weren't the kind of people who would fight at the slightest disagreement, everything was negotiable. My lord, do you come to Sky Island for a tourist or just passing through? Gon forcibly relaxed his expression to the most relaxed state, put his words in the most relaxed state, and there was something in his eyes expect. Maybe it's all a misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. Gonfall explained to himself in this way, and he also thought so. Di's expression was calm, with a smile on her face, which made people approachable, and made Gonfoer feel more relaxed, as if it was exactly as he thought, so, it was really great. But before his expression was completely relaxed, a faint voice sounded in his ears. Advertisement. I'm here to rule Sky Island. Sky Island is a great place and it will be my first territory. That's good, our Sky Island is still very hospitable, or? Gonfall nodded quickly, with a welcoming attitude on his face. His throat was pinched like a duck in the next moment, his eyes popped out, twinkling, it's so unbelievable. Petal. Taking 2 steps back, he stared in horror at Di, who still had a calm expression, his body trembled wildly, and he couldn't utter a complete sentence for a while. Di raised his head and looked at Gonfoer with a flat expression, a faint smile BJDI on the corner of his mouth. He couldn't see what Gonfoer was thinking, just treat him well when passing by, but he is here to rule. Qinghai world government and 5 elders have too many cards, and now Di has not figured it out. It is very difficult to develop a big force in Qinghai and develop under Marine's nose. Especially the first revolution. Base selection is very important. He didn't like to be like Monkey D. Dragon, who had to develop a power secretly. Even after the base camp was found, he was taken away directly. On Sky Island, even if Marine wanted to attack, they would lose more than half of them on the way to Sky Island, and then the air pressure on Sky Island would directly reduce their strength to an insignificant amount. Then, how many people can still stand in front of him alive and be arrogant in front of him? Even if you leave Sky Island is very safe, unlike the islands in Qinghai. Once you leave yourself, it will be difficult to resist the full-scale attack of Marine and even some big pirate groups. Advertisement. There are no arrogant words, it's like announcing the result of 10 males. But it was just like this that frightened Gonfall more, because the more the other party was like this, it meant that what he said was beyond doubt. The king of a country is just like his status as a god. Many words are not jokes, but facts. And in a high position, many times he is too lazy to lie. And Di's indifferent expression also showed. I'm not joking, I'm telling you the truth, whether you accept it or not, this is the purpose of my coming to Sky Island. You. Gonfall wanted to say something, but couldn't complete a sentence, he didn't know what to say, and he didn't know how to say it. Reject. If rejection is useful, why does the world need power? You are too weak. You have such a good geographical advantage and such magical shells, but you are still so weak. It has to be said that the comfortable life makes you too relaxed. Oh. Forgot. You and the Sandias, it's not a bad exercise. Di said mercilessly. Sky Island is indeed too weak. To be honest, as long as there is a vice admiral level, Sky Island can be ruled by force. Advertisement. 122. The Secret of the Heart Network, one more update for flowers. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. To explain, distinguished heavenly gods consume a lot of mental power, but the protagonist's mental power has also increased a lot this year. Of course, facing the same level of strong people, such as Garp and Sengoku, it is easy to fail when using distinguished heavenly gods, so it's a bit whimsical to directly control them. The weaker the person, the easier it is to control. Of course, this has to exclude some special devil fruit abilities, such as the spiritual system. Obviously, Sky Island occupies a geographical advantage, and there are also Sky Island shells with various magical abilities. If it weren't for them, they have been fighting with the Sandia for 400 years. Fighting for a long time, training fighters non-stop, and maintaining the battle, maybe they are weaker at this time. Small fights. Zero Sanchi. Gon Foer twitched his face fiercely, and his expression became even more lonely. The 400 years of war between them and the Sandia people turned out to be just a small fight in the eyes of the other party. It's all because of strength, they are too weak. Gon Foer had to admit that he had seen those big pirates in Qinghai, but he didn't realize it before, because those big pirates were bold and true navigators, and they didn't have any intention of getting involved in Sky Island. A person with negative luck. Even if some evil pirates come to Sky Island by accident, they are very uncomfortable because of the extremely low air pressure at an altitude of 10,000 meters. The Sky Island guards use the mysterious Sky Island shells to fight and crush them. This also made them feel that Qinghai people are actually not that strong, they are pitifully weak. At an altitude of 10,000 meters, ordinary pirates need at least a month to recover, and those civilians, if they live here, the thin air will even kill them directly. Advertisement. This is not to say that adapting can adapt, the body is not strong, and the environment is their Shinigami. But even so, it also made many people in Sky Island feel arrogant, thinking that all people in Qinghai are like that. It obviously has such a good geographical advantage, but it doesn't have a strong force, and it doesn't have high-end combat power. In front of the real strong, completely vulnerable. Those armed shells are just icing on the cake, and the strong are always strong in themselves. In the face of too powerful force, it can be said that the weak have no room to resist. There is no law in this world, let alone restraint, only strength. Even if Gon Foer realized it, it was too late. He could only surrender, and resistance was futile. The Enel of 2 years ago was able to drive them away from here, and now the Enel is stronger, and the indifference in his eyes can tell that he doesn't take them seriously at all. And the DE in front of him can make Enel surrender, can't he be strong? There is also the unquestionable kingly spirit. If he has the heart to resist, Gon Foer has no doubt that DE will directly destroy them. Advertisement. After living for so many years, he still has eyesight. And now he can only give in, even if he doesn't know what will happen if DE rules Sky Island. He can only pray from the bottom of his heart that DE can treat Sky Island better and be more rational than Enel. If DE squeezes Sky Island and enslaves Sky Island, he will definitely resist and fight desperately. DE did not use distinguished heavenly gods on Gon Foer. Frequent use of distinguished heavenly gods can also have a negative impact on Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and consume a lot of mental power. The more you use distinguished heavenly gods on people with strong spiritual power, the more likely to fail. Building an empire does not depend solely on the distinguished heavenly gods, but also political skills, so that the people below can convince themselves that this is the real way to become an emperor. Besides, Gon Foer couldn't find the palm of his own hand either. But right now he is still needed to appease the natives of Angel Island and the Sky Island fighters under him. But DE has already asked Enel to drill them. It is more of a drill than a deterrent. Whoever has a small mind will kill it directly, without ambiguity at all. Advertisement. Palace of Gods. Of course it was DE's temporary resting place at this time, and of course Gon Foer was kicked out. At this time, DE is looking up the history of Sky Island, and there are indeed many records, about the origin of Sky Island, about the history of Sky Island, and even some records about the main text of the history, and there are things that DE is very interested in, hard network. Shinwang is essentially observation hockey, which DE knows. As expected by DE, Sky Island's mind network ability is actually the predecessor who is also a Thunder Fruit capable person, developed to a certain extent, the power of awakening, and the ability of Thunder Fruit to complement each other. After all, he can hear people's conversations in the form of radio waves, covering the entire Sky Island, making the people submit to him out of fear. If this terrible ability was really developed by Enel himself, it would be too scary. This kind of pervert ability, think about it, how many people's secrets can you overhear with this ability when you go to an island? As long as you talk again in 4.9, you can overhear. Of course, this also requires that the opponent is not that powerful, and powerful people are very sensitive to this kind of electric wave. However, under the premise that DE helped Enel upgrade 30% of the brain, it is still possible after a period of precipitation. Now after DE's hints, some ideas, and Enel's own thinking, Enel's observation hockey is still not as powerful as in the anime. However, with the previous experience of Sky Island, Enel will soon be able to study thoroughly, and it will be more powerful than the animation in the previous life, so that Enel can become a more powerful support for DE. Advertisement. 123. The Grassroots Political Power Open Black Lens Bracket Second Update for Subscription Close Black Lens Bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. A month has passed. Before Gon Fall's spiritual outlook changed drastically, he was actively doing ideological work for the residents of Angel Island, with faint excitement revealed in his expression. Why change worry? Be so positive. Because he suddenly found out that DE ruled Sky Island, it didn't seem to be a bad thing. DE gave him a brief analysis of his own blueprint, and Gon Fall gradually understood DE's ambition. It turned out that everything was just a foreshadowing, and ruling the entire Sky Island was just the first step in building a supreme empire. It was the first step, and it was a wish that Gon Fall could not fulfill in his whole life, or even in several lifetimes, even after the complete disintegration of Sky Island. And now, this is just DE's first step. An empire is successfully established. As the capital of an empire, it will be the most prosperous city. Advertisement. DE is not like Enel, who speaks only by strength, nor is he a tyrant, but speaks with policies and actions, not to destroy the Island of Angels, but to prosper it. If that's the case, what does Gon Fall have to worry about? The means of the Emperor, the courage of the Emperor, the blueprint of the Emperor. Even if you are a pawn, why not? In DE, he saw not only these, but also a Haki who was the Emperor, and supreme confidence. These things even the One Piece King Roger he had seen before could not compare. The Emperor is not just a pirate group, nor is it comparable to the captain who leads the pirate group. From the perspective of the world, the method of turning your hands into clouds and turning your hands into rain is the most terrifying. Knowing DE's hidden blueprint, Gon Fall couldn't help feeling ridiculous about his worries, because DE didn't pay attention to what he was worried about, such as the safety of Angel Island, and how DE would treat the residents of Sky Island. Will it squeeze the residents of Sky Island? All of this has never entered DE's eyes. In DE's eyes, this place is just a base for the development of the regime, or the geographical location here satisfies DE, that's all. The things he was worried about were just floating clouds. Even the things about the Island of Angels are entrusted to him to do and arrange. This is the courage of the Emperor. Advertisement. He is not afraid of you making small moves, and he is not afraid of you messing with your back. He knows people well, and treats each other honestly. This kind of small trick even made For feel a sense of belonging in his heart. This is a kind of trust, and at the same time knowing that DE understands his mind very well. What is the most worried about? You worry. Well, I will leave these to you to deal with. Then what complaints does he have? What else is he unwilling to do? Gon Fall still has a very important status in the hearts of the Aborigines of Angel Island. He loves the people and makes everyone live a happy life, so everyone respects him. DE asked Gon Fall to do things to win people's hearts, not only to conquer Gon Fall, but also to win the hearts of the Aboriginal people of Angel Island. Of course, he knew that this would not change in a short time, but he was not worried. As long as Sky Island becomes richer and more beautiful in the future, and their descendants become stronger and understand the world better, will they still resist the ruler? Besides, isn't there still a method of brainwashing? The MLM brainwashing organizations in the previous life were very professional, bringing them a better life, stronger prosperity, and at the same time replacing their ideas in their hearts, completely changing their beliefs in their hearts. They will become the sharpest in DE's hands, the most terrible weapon. Knowing people well and being tolerant of others is what an emperor should do. If he doesn't even have this courage, how can he really realize his blueprint? Advertisement. To reassure people, the next step is to gain insight into the political system and economic system of Sky Island. There are really too many loopholes. After learning about it, DE was ashamed. Although Sky Island has a currency of Ike, many of them are still in a state of bartering and self-sufficiency. Many residents still go fishing in Beibaihai. The management is very loose, even staying in the original stage. This is also because Sky Island has always maintained a pristine state, with little contact with outsiders. After all, at a height of 10,000 meters, people who come up will die for a lifetime, and this life may not adapt to the air pressure here, and then they will be robbed or even die in Beibaihai. There is also the law of Sky Island, which is simply horrible, and its nature is basically aimed at outsiders, that is, people from Shanghai. So it's no wonder that it can develop under such a money-funded policy. However, DE can only make small-scale modifications for the time being, and only temporarily ruled an Angel Island. Only after integrating all Sky Islands can large-scale reforms be carried out. The gold in the Golden Village was just collected hastily by DE last time, but this time it was scraped clean again and used as military expenses. Then began to hire a large number of Angel Island Aboriginals to start a large number of logging. At the beginning, Gon Fall politely refused. This is a God-given land, and the giant trees on it are precious. Regarding this point, Di is very speechless. If such a thick tree is not used, it will still grow on the land of Mount Dora. What a waste of land resources. Advertisement. 124. You don't know anything about power. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. And after the development of civil engineering, you can also plant and cultivate trees. Planted in large quantities, trees themselves are renewable resources. These idiots know how to guard the Holy Land. The difference in thinking is not 1 meter, 1,000 meters, or 10,000 meters, but 1 light year, hundreds of millions of light years. Moreover, besides, when the ability of Bisi fruit increases significantly, and the strength increases a bit, Di will directly give it to upgraded, just turn a few more islands to come over, and there will be land and trees. As long as he wants, Sky Island will have endless land resources. In awe, deep awe, Gonfall felt like a clown, facing the gods. To describe him in a sentence from Di, you don't know anything about power. The more he contacts, the more awed he feels. Di's vision will never be compared to him. I think I have lived for so long and met so many people, but everything is still too small. Advertisement. Thinking about what I did as a god before, I thought I was sticking to the rules, maintained a heart of loving the people, and made so many rules, thinking that it was for the good of everyone. Now that I think about it, I feel blush. Di is the real god. The law of the jungle is prey to the strong. Gonfor knows this truth better than anyone else, and because he understands, he is not disgusted with Di's rule, and now he is more fortunate. If it is an evil strongman who rules the island of the sky, all angels the residents of the island are all enslaved, and there is no place for them to stand up. All the scenes are horrifying. I have been at ease for too long, and I have forgotten the essence of this world. Qinghai has a lot of people, so it is much crueler than Sky Island, and the essence of understanding is much clearer. Even more so, Di's principles made him agree from the bottom of his heart, and from the bottom of his heart, he was changing for the sake of the strength of Sky Island. Conformity, the notion slowly dissipated in Gonfall's mind. It's no wonder that Gonfall didn't understand at the beginning. Sky Island has always been short of land, and naturally the trees growing on the land also. At high altitudes where the natural wind is strong, the rare trees have always been sheltered from wind and rain and used to disperse the wind. Therefore, on Sky Island, the wood used to make ships is quite scarce. The shipbuilding technology of Sky Island compared with the Blue Sea, it is a little behind, and the exhibits are also small and compact vehicles that consume relatively less wood. Similar to the sea motorcycle, the Waiba belongs to this category. This is also the reason why Shandora was washed into the sky by the sea current, and they directly regarded it as a sacred place, and the reason why they fought with the Sandias. He started to get busy and began to implement Di's request unconditionally. The most important point is that Di will pay the local residents of Sky Island, not directly enslave them to do it, and even open up commercial streets, clothing stores, toy stores, and pastries shops, etc., have brought a completely different life to Angel Island. Advertisement. There are more smiles on everyone's faces, more satisfaction, and more fascination for the future life. Even Gonfall felt that everyone was getting closer to himself and respecting himself, stronger than before. Looking at these satisfied smiles, Gonfall was extremely satisfied. That's not all he wanted. Logging, of course, is for building ships and warships. At present, there is really no Sky Island. No, or this world does not have the technology to build a big steel ship in the previous life. Most of their thinking is still on how steel can float on the ship, only wood can float on the ship, and they use the oldest boatmaker craft. Moreover, the trees in this world are also diverse, older than the earth, and some big trees are even harder than steel, just like the very rare treasure tree Adam in the pirate world. It is one of the few strongest trees in the pirate world. No matter how tragic the war, it can stand firm, so a part of the tree is worth nearly 200 million berry on the black market. The Sen Jackson, Golden Jackson, and the Straw Hat Pirates ship, Thousand Sunny, were made out of this tree. Ask for flowers. Ships are built to withstand enormous pressure. Being extremely tough, boats made from this tree are also extremely tough and strong. Advertisement. 0. However, because of its strong toughness, the production time is relatively long. There are also some reasons. Ships made of steel are very bulky. Without the mechanical power of the previous life, it is difficult for sailboats to travel at high speeds. This is also the reason why the shipbuilding industry in this world is still stuck. However, the big trees in this world are very tall, even hundreds of meters tall, and there is no limit to the construction of all big ships. As for Shandora, these big trees are hundreds or even thousands of years old, full of willfulness, and very powerful as a keel. During Gonfall's persuasion and explanation, a large number of loggers entered Mount Dora, set foot on this land, and carried out unified logging. The keel of the boat was quickly formed with the efforts of the boatman and Triss. People with Mumu fruit ability and Logia fruit ability person are extremely powerful, and they can indeed directly generate a large area of trees, but this consumes only Triss physical strength, and they cannot create such a powerful warship. But it is very simple to use the wood fruit ability to assist the shipbuilder and let the ready-made wood to make a big boat. The efficiency is also very high, and it can also exercise her fruit ability 9. Advertisement. 125. Kill all. Take it all. Burn out. 4 more ask for a monthly ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The capital of 7 waters. In the water Venice of One Piece world, the waterways of the entire city are quite complicated. In addition to the transportation on the flat water surface, there are also waterways extending down from the heights of the water capital. The most famous thing here is the shipbuilding technology. The whole pirate world is famous. Almost 80% of the big pirates order their ships from here, and it is the place that every boatman yearns for. On this day, an extraordinary person ushered in the capital of 7 waters. A golden ship with extreme hockey descended from the sky. The hull was covered with mysterious lines, which made it even more hockey. It shone brightly under the sun and attracted people. The eyes of countless people. In the past few months, rumors of the golden ship on the sea have spread to the whole world, and its reputation has surpassed that of 4 emperors De's car, which can sail in the sea and even fly in the sky. Many people think that this is a fantasy. How can the ship sail in the sky, especially if the whole ship is made of gold? It is even more nonsense. Many 19 people snorted, but the news about DE spread to everyone's ears. Today, the golden ship is docked at the port of the capital of 7 waters. As soon as the pirate docked, he was stared at by countless people. Many pirates had bright eyes, and the entire ship was made of gold. How much would it cost? Advertisement. In the crowd, an ugly pirate with black teeth grinned even more. His eyes turned into Bailey's appearance. He held up the big knife in his hand, and roared unabashedly excitedly. Little ones, if we snatch this ship, we will be prosperous, at least worth billions of Baileys, popular and hot. Captain, do it, kill, rob. Every little brother is like chicken blood, people die for money, and birds die for food. Nowadays, many people become pirates just for wealth. Come on. Lousy is a big pirate with 80 million people. Anyone who dares to stop me will kill them. Hibata was very excited at this time. The pirate group was already torn apart by the storm, but they didn't expect a golden ship to fall from the sky as soon as they landed in the port. The instant excitement directly dazzled the brain, and his mind was full of Bailey, so there was no scruples. He had never seen so much gold in this life, and his mouth was drooling. A ship of gold. How many Baileys? How much wine? How much meat? How many women? Kill it all, steal it all, burn it all. The younger brothers of the Chibata pirates were also extremely excited. Their eyes were red, revealing incomparable greed, and even shouted the slogan of Sangwon. At the port, many people are looking at this side. Some pirates were also very excited, but when they saw the Chibata pirates rushing up, those who had no strength retreated quickly. 80 million pirates are considered big pirates, but they are not something small pirates can provoke. Advertisement. There are also big pirates in the crowd, some even have a higher bounty than Chibata, but these people are standing around watching, some seem to be weighing their own weight, and the smart ones are more curious about the golden ship. Some are people. If it is someone who is really unknown, or someone who can be provoked, many people are happy to take a piece of the pie. After all, this is a golden ship, so how much gold does it cost? Poor man, the boat must be docked here. Yes, that's a big pirate with 80 million people. Maybe he is a very powerful person. How powerful can it be? Many of these pirates here are hundreds of millions of big pirates. They will definitely not be able to escape today, and they will definitely be hacked to death. These pirates' methods are cruel. Among the crowd, the residents of the city of 7 waters watched this scene, and they also talked a lot. There was also greed in their eyes, more envy, jealousy, and gloating. After all, who doesn't love money? But love of money also has a certain weight, if you know your own weight, otherwise you would be foolish to push forward. So what they are looking forward to more is who is the owner of this ship. What will happen? Hibata was carrying his super heavy knife, and his tendons and flesh were like steel, agitating in the sun, as if it would explode at any time, and it was filled with terrifying calendars. Advertisement. The figure ran frantically, and took the lead to rush towards the Jindy, with naked greed in his eyes, as if it was already in his pocket. 907 Pedal. Footsteps were heard on board. The crowd looked up, with curiosity in their eyes. After all, who can show off their wealth so well? Even the celestial dragons are not so cocky. Hearing footsteps, Ba was even more excited. Ha ha ha. Listen, people inside, this boat is mine now, and everyone who is sensible will kneel down to me. Hibata laughed loudly. kicked his feet, and with a bang, a small hole appeared on the ground. The figure directly jumped up high, and jumped towards the Golden Emperor. Under the sunlight, that ugly and ferocious face was even more grinning to the extreme, with strong greed. Huh, yours. A faint voice sounded in everyone's ears. It was very light, but it made everyone's hearts sink. An invisible sense of oppression was born out of thin air, as if the gravity of this planet suddenly became stronger. Among the crowd, the hearts of those over 100 million big pirates jumped, their eyelids twitched crazily, their backs were icy cold, and their hair stood on end. It felt like being stared at by some kind of wild beast in the dark. Dangerous, very dangerous. Advertisement. 126. DE appears open black lens bracket 1 watch for flowers close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The expressions on their faces were extremely solemn, and each of them subconsciously tensed up, holding their weapons or fists. And what made them feel the pressure was just an indifferent sentence. Kibata, who was grinning ferociously at first, only faintly saw the figure coming out of the cabin of the golden ship. Before seeing the face, he raised his big knife excitedly, and split the robber in half with one knife as usual. Looting villages, he loves nothing more than slashing rebels in half with his machete. Kill all, steal all, burn all, rape all. The four-light policy, even little girls are not spared, which also cultivates their greed. With a greedy nature, when he saw the golden boat, he was instantly dazzled. Roger opened the Age of Great Voyages, but such evil pirates are no longer rare. After all, not everyone regards themselves as adventurers, they are pirates, and they think they should be like this. The Kibata 337 pirate group is a typical representative of them. Boom. Jumping high, Kibata stopped suddenly. It was as if he had hit an invisible wall. His entire ugly face was instantly deformed, bleeding from 7 holes, and his entire body was also deformed. It lasted 0.00001 seconds, and then returned at a faster speed, accompanied by a mournful cry. Ah, advertisement. This scream instantly attracted everyone's attention. Before they understood what was going on, they saw Kibata, who was jumping high towards the Jindy, suddenly flew upside down at a faster speed. Go back. Puff puff. Standing in the sky, the eyes of the whole face were deformed, and a large mouthful of blood spewed out from the mouth. There were 1 or 2 white spots in the blood, shining brightly under the sun, which were broken teeth. Pipey. Like a cannonball smashing into the crowd, a gully slid out on the bluestone floor and blasted into the crowd. Ah! Run! Hold the grass! What's going on? What's the situation? A group of onlookers didn't know what was going on. Wasn't it an attack? Why did they suddenly return? Didn't they see anyone make a move? Some people couldn't escape, and were directly smashed to the ground, screaming and screaming. And the 80 million big pirate Kibata was drenched in blood, and his whole body was lumped up and sank to the ground. Caw caw caw. Advertisement. Everyone only heard a slight sound, and saw that the hideous sword in Kibata's hand began to crack at the speed of the naked eye. Wow. In the end, it directly collapsed into fine fragments and scattered all over the ground. Hiss hiss. Suddenly a group of gasping voices sounded, and many pirates shrank their necks instantly. They didn't know that Kibata had kicked the iron plate, and they were even more grateful that they didn't make a move, otherwise the people lying here would be them. Needless to say, those pirates who are even more useless than Kibata. Some powerful pirates in the crowd shrank their pupils and looked at all this with a frown. They seemed to feel a BJDB, fine ripple in the air just now. It is very strong, very fast, and very powerful, but the control is quite terrifying. You can see that only Chibata was bounced, and the onlookers didn't even feel it except for those affected by Chibata. What's the situation? Why did the captain fly back? The captain is very strong. It must have been an accident. The other party used despicable methods. Chibata's younger brothers were still puzzled, looking at the captain on the ground in puzzlement. Jiling's younger brother hurry up to help Kibata. Well, maybe he can get more points after the snatch is successful. At the same time, oh, you want to snatch my boat? The indifferent voice sounded again, like an alarm bell ringing in everyone's hearts again. It was obviously extremely indifferent, but it made everyone feel the pressure multiplying, as if their shoulders were being held down. Pressing deeply on the spot and moving it takes several times more energy than usual. Everyone raised their heads and looked towards Jindy. Advertisement. The sun was shining brightly and it was very dazzling. Everyone couldn't help squinting their eyes slightly, and the figure and face appearing at the bow of the boat slowly appeared in sight. Hiss hiss. The sound of sucking air kept ringing, coming from every corner, and the pupils shrank to the shape of needles in an instant. Everyone who recognized DE had their eyes wide open and their mouths wide open. Bah! His eyes revealed a deep sense of disbelief. Pedal. In an instant, the pirates are bounty hunters who were still malicious in their hearts just now felt as if they had been poured with cold water. I'm glad I didn't do anything. I'm glad I wasn't the one who did it. I'm glad I was one step too late. I'm glad that I survived. No wonder they are so arrogant. No wonder they are so hockey. No wonder they feel the pressure just by saying a word. Wearing a yellow gown embroidered with gold, coupled with Di's condescending and indifferent eyes, with the sun shining brightly behind his back, he is like a high-ranking emperor, ruling the world and looking down on all living beings. Plop. Emperor. Emperor. 1. Some pirates just kneeled on the ground with their legs limp. This name represents more than a simple pirate. Advertisement. 127. Towards the pinnacle of life, second watch for a reward. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Plop. Emperor. Emperor. Some pirates just kneel on the ground with their legs weak. This name represents more than a simple pirate. The strength is more than 10 times that of the ordinary Buster Call, but it was unilaterally crushed by DE, and even Marshal Marine finally came forward to say that it was a misunderstanding. But those Marine vice admirals and tens of thousands of Marine elites never appeared again. Everyone is farting. Everyone can imagine the ending of these people. Some time ago, the topic of DE has been hotly discussed around the world, because this is the first time that Marine bowed his head, and it can even be said to be unprecedented. 893. 3 admirals and 12 vice admirals are nightmare enemies for some big pirates, but they are all trampled underfoot like ants in front of DE. Gollum. Gollum. No one would have imagined that this extremely arrogant golden ship, which is even bigger than celestial dragons, is the car of DE, who has never really shown up, although DE has tamed a few people before, but the place he stayed was not long. Many people thought it was fake. While shocked, I also took it for granted in my heart. Ask the sea who dares to be so arrogant. Who can be worthy of this ship, and that must be DE. Advertisement. It's DE. It's really him. I've seen his reward order, 1 billion. That's a fart. Marshal Marine has personally come out to apologize. Emperor DE, this is the goal of my life. Just you. Get the hell out of here. Stand in front of Marine Admiral. I guess you'll have to pee your pants. You are so young. You are so young. It turns out that this is his boat. It is very round. Exclamations kept ringing out from the crowd. The gloating and spectating mentality completely disappeared, and there was only awe in their eyes. The shadow of the name, the bark of the tree, DE's fame is now in full swing, and even some pirates have begun to call this era the DE era. Every era has a top powerhouse. Roger opened a new era. Many people call it the Roger era. But later, no one can inherit the name of that era. Kaido can't, Big Mom can't, Shanks can't, Whitebeard can't, countless new stars rise, countless new stars fall. Until DE turned out to be born, no one expected it at the beginning, but he did things that others thought were death. Sure enough, a big event happened, and Marine dispatched an unprecedented lineup to wipe out DE. A generation of arrogance is about to perish. Advertisement. But the ending shocked the whole sea, so that the fermentation was extremely terrible, and DE's reputation swept the whole world like a terrible plague in an instant. Everyone is amazed. This world is like this. You have won. You have survived in the face of desperation. You have done things that have never been done before or since. You are the king, respected and worshipped by everyone. And DE is such a person. Even in this era, DE's name is slowly being taken hostage. Ning Ri 4 Emperors, Mo Ri DE. What kind of existence the 4 emperors are, and what kind of pirates dare to provoke them? Even if the Marine moves, they must be weighed. Of course, many power relations are involved in this, and even the New World structure. But this sentence also shows how terrible DE's reputation is now. And the group of them who wanted to rob just now turned out to be such a person. Now that I think about it, I was so daring just now. Facing such an existence, I even had the idea of robbing. Plop. Plop. As for the Kibata pirates, when they saw DE appearing on the Golden Emperor, their eyes were filled with despair, their feet softened suddenly, and they knelt on the ground. DE, why don't they know each other? This is the Supreme King, the object of worship of countless people during this period of time. Naval headquarters has suffered from such an existence, and it is also the object of respect of many pirates. But they dared to rush up just now and rob. They even shouted their slogan, kill it all, snatch it all, burn it all. Advertisement. At this moment, the whole body was icy cold, and the whole person prostrated on the ground and shivered. Bang, bang. The weapons in their hands fell to the ground one by one. At this moment, they didn't even have the courage to grab a weapon. His face was extremely gloomy, full of despair. He happily went to support Kibata's pirate, and at this moment, he just farted. Sitting on Kibata's body, fear completely swept his head. Poof. The severely injured Kibata spit out a big mouthful of blood again in an instant after suffering such an ass. But because of this, he woke up instead. Bastard. Stay away from me. Kibata grabbed his subordinates and threw them aside. Ah. The pirate Route 4.1 had no defense at all, and was thrown on the bloody face, screaming again and again. Bastards. You actually sneaked up on Kibata, a big pirate with a bounty of 80 million. Damn you bastards, I not only want to kill you all, everyone on this ship must die, everyone must die. Kibata, this voice, the one that roared, was loud and full of momentum. Even though he was horrific now, his voice was full of tyranny. This made Kibata very satisfied, especially when everyone's eyes were focused on him for a moment. It made him look like a yellow robe, and he was already on his way to the top of his life. Feng became the four emperors, attracting attention no matter where he went. Advertisement. 128. The price of pretense, third watch for condoms. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. So cool. So cool. At this time, Kibata felt comfortable all over. Even though he was seriously injured at this time, the feeling of being noticed by everyone was really good. In this instant, he felt that the whole world was his stage, and that shiny golden ship his prize. Lift your head up, chest out, belly in, buttocks in, it looks more imposing. At this time, he must be very handsome, and many people will definitely fall in love with him. And the scene, the port terminal of the capital of Seven Waters. Everyone looked at Kibata, who was standing in a strange posture in a daze. The original ugly appearance was even uglier now, and the ugliness was very special, especially when he was still grinning, his teeth were completely missing. Damn, there are such wonderful people in this world. Of course, everyone is more speechless, sympathetic, and idiot looking. Everyone wants to say, this guy is stupid, is it? There are also people who admire that Kibata is still so dead at this time, and dare to say such words. Advertisement. If before, maybe everyone thought that Yi didn't care about this kind of trash pirate, and probably didn't bother to look at him and let him live, but now, this guy must be dead. Kibata's younger brothers also looked at Kibata standing upright with his head held high. They were very familiar with this pose, and it was Kibata's favorite pretentious pose. Whenever he was happy, he would put on this superior pose. But, is it really appropriate now? Is their captain insane to pose like this at this time? This is Yi, a monster more terrifying than the four emperors. Since when did their captain pretend to be so fearless? Is it for them to attract Yi's attention and pull the hatred over? For a moment, there was a moving emotion surging in my heart. This is their captain, this kind of will to be unyielding has moved many subordinates. As a pirate, you should be with such a character as the captain. Even in this situation, you still stand upright and never give up. The little pirates couldn't help the tears in their eyes, and their hearts were filled with incomparable emotion. The laughter and laughter together made them unforgettable. They burned, killed and looted together, f'd women together, together. Now we have to be together, face together, yes, you have to die standing up. Kibata's ugly body full of blood was shining in their eyes at this moment, unprecedentedly great. Captain. Advertisement. A more emotional pirate boy couldn't help but burst into tears, Yuan Hao wrote. Plop. Poof. Captain, have a good journey. All the members of the Chibata pirates knelt on the ground as if they had agreed, and looked at Chibad's ugly body that had never felt so dazzling with tears in his eyes. Among the crowd, those pirates with a value of over 100 million could not help being silent, they seemed to have thought of something, and murmured in a low voice. Hey, although this Kibata has done a lot of crazy things, he still treats his partners very well. Yes, he is a good captain. With so many crew members like this, you can know that he is very popular. In the end, even in the face of the first emperor, he will die standing up. This kind of courage is not simple. It's a pity, if you don't die, maybe you can really become a real big pirate. There are many regrets. After all, most pirates have done evil things. Burning, killing and looting are very normal lives for them. Only when this person is really facing big things can he see a person's courage and responsibility. Asterisk. At this time, Kibata was not a big pirate, but the posture he showed at this time made many people admire him. After all, they couldn't do such a thing in the face of such a scene. Advertisement. After all, the name on the ship was too famous and terrifying. Ha 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 ha, let me take you there today. Kibata was in high spirits like never before. At this moment, even the wounds on his body healed. Turning his head, two bell-like eyes stared fiercely at the Jindy. It looks very imposing. But looking at it, Kibata was frightened into silence in an instant, his neck seemed to be directly stuck, his whole face was completely deformed, and all the strength in his body was directly evacuated in an instant. Poof. His knees went limp, and he fell to his knees heavily on the ground, his whole body trembling violently like a sieve. Shaking. For a moment, fear engulfed Baba like black Yoruichi. This scene of Kibata stunned the people who were pity at first, even the little Kibata brothers who had gone all the way were also stunned. What's the situation? What happened? Why did you kneel down? Things seemed to have changed, and some people suddenly thought of something, and their faces turned black. Yi, Master. I should die. Don't kill me. I should die. I'm obsessed with money. Don't kill me. It's all my crew who tricked me. It's all my crew who fooled me. I don't know it's your boat. At this time, Kibata began to cry loudly, and then kowtowed desperately on the ground, one after another, heavily on the ground. Advertisement. 129. Waving your hand and disappearing, 4 more full orders. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Wow. Kacha. It seems to have heard the sound of many jaws falling directly to the ground, especially the little pirates of Kibata, who watched this scene dully one by one. Is it really the same person who was crying and pleading on the ground? Where is the dying captain? I don't believe it. I don't believe it's true. And those pirates who originally thought that Kibata was a bit bold, their faces were darker than the bottom of the pot, so dark and scary. At this time, they don't know where. This weak-hearted Kibata didn't even see who was standing on the boat, so why was he pretending to be aggressive in front of them? There was even a hint of admiration in their hearts just now. It's just a grass F king horse, respecting such a person, kneeling on the ground and crying loudly, begging desperately, pushing all the responsibility to the crew, this damn FK. Pay my respects back. Advertisement. 19 In an instant, the hearts of the crowd were like 10,000 mud horses galloping past, which was uncomfortable. Kibata's little pirates were also stunned. What the hell? They sold them out mercilessly when they heard Kibata's begging words, and their mood changed instantly, which is a big deal. Just hold the grass. They were actually moved just now, and all of them suddenly got angry, stood up from the ground, and retorted without hesitation. Kibata, how can you be so shameless? Damn, are you worthy of being the captain? You scum. Obviously you are the one who directed us, we won't blame you for this. The captain and the crew began to bite each other, calling out fiercely, which made the original thought that this was a good partner, and the sadness in their hearts slid across a large area. Yi looked at what happened below speechlessly, his head was full of black lines, he had seen too many shameless people, and he had never seen such a shameless person. Kill them. He spat out the 4 words lightly, although it was very soft, everyone at the scene could hear them clearly. Kibata and their little brother suddenly changed their expressions, and fled, turned around and fled. At this time, they were quite smart and fled to places where there were many people. FK. Don't come this way. Damn it. Roll my forehead. Advertisement. Damn, they want to pull us as a backstop. Immediately, there were angry curses from the crowd. What if Yi took out his anger on them, or they were directly affected by Caillou? They retreated quickly, but there were so many people that they couldn't retreat for a while. For some powerful ones, attacking them directly and trying to trick them is already very cool, and it would be better to wait if you don't attack them at this time. Hey, Enel grinned, his figure instantly turned into a blue lightning bolt, and disappeared on the spot. Everyone only saw the sky blue lightning flashing across the eyes in an instant, while the escaped pirates of the Chibata pirates disappeared in place, reappeared, and returned to their original gathering place, knocked down one by the electricity. Twitching. Logia ability user. That's Enel, a thunder fruit capable user. The reward amount is 500 million Baileys. His fighting power is comparable to that of Marine Admiral. There was a sudden exclamation from the crowd, with fear in their eyes. 500 million Baileys, comparable to Marine Admiral in combat power. This is the reward order evaluation issued by Naval Headquarters. This is not waiting for water at all. It is also more terrifying because it does not contain moisture. Marine 3 Admiral is the Logia fruit capable person. Logia fruit is recognized as the strongest of the 3 devil fruits. The biggest feature of Logia is that it can make the body elemental and make physical attacks ineffective. This point makes many pirates desperate, because they are exhausted and can't hurt the Logia fruit ability user. They couldn't believe that Yi's subordinates turned out to be natural fruit ability users, and they were of the attack type with flashing electric arcs. Those with Logia fruit abilities have strong or weak attack power, just like the 3 Admirals sparkling fruit, frozen fruit, and lava fruit, all of which are attacking types, and their lethality is very large. Advertisement. And Enel's Thunderbolt is not a problem. Some people defeated Yi because of Marine 3 Admiral, and they felt that 3 Admiral was nothing special. But the most intuitive feeling in front of me is that the terrifying speed of the Thunder 510 is completely beyond everyone's imagination. In an instant, all those who escaped were caught back to their original places. God's punishment. Enel's face was icy cold, with a tyrannical chill in his eyes. A wrist instantly formed a lightning bolt and disappeared. The next moment, boom, a huge blue lightning column descended from the sky, directly enveloping all the members of Kibata pirates. In the field of thunder, the terrifying electric snake twisted crazily, and desperate screams came from it, which made people's hair stand on end. It lasted more than 10 seconds before the pillar of lightning disappeared slowly, and a huge deep pit appeared. The ground was scorched, and the people of the Chibata pirates inside were directly roasted into human flesh, and floated out to lure the smell of human flesh. Roar. And in that deep pit, there was a roar of a wild beast suddenly. Crash. The mud splashed, and a large wild boar appeared, weighing at least 1,000 kilograms. Its body was scorched black, its skin was ripped apart, and it rushed directly towards De. Advertisement. 130. The scariest person, one watch for flowers. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. De was a little surprised. He didn't expect that this cowardly pirate was a capable person, and he waved his hand to Enel, who was about to make a move. Mosquito-sized meat is also meat. De's figure instantly disappeared in place, and reappeared just above the wild boar's head. Tread. Without hesitation, his foot fell down, and his light and fluttering body seemed to weigh as much as 1,000 caddies for a moment. Boom. The large wild boar fell directly to the ground, and with a bang, it made a big hole in the ground again. Still struggling desperately, roaring like a beast, but couldn't escape no matter what. Although it will dirty my feet, who will make you die? De said softly with a gentle smile on his face. It's like chatting with friends, which makes people feel like spring breeze. But the scene at the scene was not like this at all, and it made people shudder to hear it. Kakaka. Pooh. Advertisement. The wild boar's head was very hard, but De's foot slowly sank. The big wild boar let out a crazy 100 roar, and then the sound stopped abruptly. Congratulations to host for killing a capable user and gaining a burst of energy. The system's voice sounded. The large dead wild boar shrunk slowly and turned into a corpse, which was Kibata. With a flick of the finger, a ball of black flame flew from the fingertip to Kibata's body. Zzz. Soon, a horrible corpse turned into air. That's right, it turned into air and disappeared without a trace under the eyes of everyone. Gollum. Gollum. Among the onlookers, the sound of swallowing with difficulty could be heard from everywhere, and more than 100 million big pirates were terrified like never before, looking at the empty ground. At this moment, De showed his skills for the first time in full view. What kind of person is the scariest? A murderer? A tyrant? A moody man? Not at all, but you smiled so softly while watching him kill, as if you had crushed an ant to death while talking and laughing. That invisible sense of oppression and deterrence is like a knife piercing into everyone's heart and soul. That creepy coldness is gentler but sharper. Advertisement. If you have to say it, tenderness is like a knife, invisible but the most terrifying. From the moment he appeared on the stage, there was no anger, no questioning, let alone roaring, only a calm smile, that smiling look at everyone, with an indifferent tone, and even a gentle look in his eyes, but with a snap of his fingers, he forcibly crushed a big pirate's body head, erasing his only proof of his existence in this world. This is De. Hockey without Whitebeard, without Kaido's arrogance, without Big Mom's moodiness, without Shank's boldness, but it is more terrifying. De walked in the front, and the girls paced behind. Enel grinned, showing his white teeth, and looked at those people in the crowd who were breathing well, looking at them with cold sweat and apprehension. The crowd automatically gave way to a 5-meter wide passage, and no one dared to block it. Among them were 200 million, or even 500 million New World big pirates, but at this moment, they obediently stepped aside, not daring to say a word. It has always been noisy, BJBG, the noisiest port of the capital of Seven Waters. No one dared to say a word at this time, and they didn't even dare to breathe. Wherever De went, the nearest person's face was flushed and sweat was pouring down like rain. That kind of invisible pressure was too strong. It wasn't until De walked out of the port that the invisible pressure slowly disappeared. Hoo-hoo. At this time, many people exhaled the turbid breath in their stomachs, and many people even fell to the ground, without any strength in their bodies. Too strong. This is Emperor Yi. It's scary. Is this the strength above the 4 emperors? Advertisement. My god, from today on, De is my idol, the goal I'm chasing. The port of the capital of Seven Waters resumed its noisy scene again, and everyone showed admiration and yearning in their eyes. And in the shadows in the southeast corner of the crowd, a figure with a cloak revealed a face with prominent tattoos, muttering to himself. What a strong momentum. De, you have become even scarier. I hope our goals are the same. In the dark corner, someone looked back again, with a puzzled look on his face. There was no longer any figure there, only remembering that there was a person standing here vaguely. By the way, with such a big commotion, why hasn't the Marine of the Seven Waters got any news? Marine has already rushed over, and the Marine captain from the capital of Seven Waters has brought Marine here to arrest the troublemakers. In the south of the crowd, a Marine team was wiping sweat from their brows and whispering routines. Captain, it's dangerous, but fortunately we didn't have impulses, otherwise we might be the ones who died. Yeah, it's terrible. Killing people without blinking an eye, and even smiling when killing people. It's terrible. I have only felt this kind of aura from Marshal Marine. Captain, what should we do now? After all, this happened within our jurisdiction. Go back. It's definitely not easy for DE to bring the capital of Seven Waters. Report this matter to Naval Headquarters immediately. Why? Yes, because of it. Advertisement. 131. Don't forget your original heart, second watch for a reward. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In the capital of Seven Waters, in the anime, the most impressive thing is the sea train. A cross-age product, it has played a decisive role in making the capital of Seven Waters a prosperous city for future generations. And just today, a trial is going on in the most central square, and the trial figures have a close relationship with the sea train. What happened at the port did not affect this trial at all, and it was still going on. Bang, bang. The presiding judge of the city of Seven Waters tapped the wooden hammer twice, and said, "First of all, the matter of the sea train, it must be said that it is well done, and it will definitely contribute a lot to the development of the city of Seven Waters in the future. For this reason, it can be guaranteed that you will be exempted from the crimes you committed in building pirate ships for One Piece. Why do you have to add more crimes?" 590 was interrupted before he finished speaking. The person who interrupted was the future boatman of the Straw Hat Pirates, Frankie, who was still a child at this time, shouted angrily, "Don't be kidding, the murderer who attacked the justice ship was not us, but Spandam who was beside you." Quote. At this time, Frankie is just a child, who doesn't understand anything, only relying on anger and roaring, in exchange for. Ha 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 ha. All that was exchanged was the roar of laughter from the crowd of Marine and Seven Water capitals. How can it be? Advertisement. That Tom's apprentice, what nonsense are you talking about? Yes. Government agency CP5, why did you sink the judicial ship? It's nonsense, it's totally impossible. No one believed him, only ruthless ridicule and mocking throat. Spandam laughed loudly, and said proudly, "You are Katie Frankie, we subdued you who attacked the justice ship on the spot. Besides, weren't those attack ships all made by you? The boats that are used for that kind of thing, now. Now. They are not made by me anymore." Frankie lowered his head, and he was thinking about the boats that hurt his dearest master Tom. Incredibly disgusting. And at this moment, Tom the Murloc, who had been silent all this time, was also the one who completed the great masterpiece Sea Train, and suddenly moved. With a huge body, the Murloc's strength far exceeds that of ordinary people. Click. The handcuffs were broken in an instant, his eyes flashed with anger, and a group of them smashed heavily on Frankie's face. Boom. Frankie flew straight away, sliding out hundreds of meters. Tom is out of the handcuffs, run. A terrified cry came from the crowd. Advertisement. What are you doing? Frankie, who was already rebellious, roared in confusion. You said, "It's not my boat, you must never say such words." Tom was panting heavily, and the blood flowing from his body was consuming his strength, but at this moment he didn't care at all. So what? Frankie cried, with regret in his voice. I regret making those boats, and if it wasn't for those boats, Mr. Tom wouldn't be hurt. No matter what kind of ship it is, there is no distinction between good and evil when it is built. It doesn't matter what kind of ship you build in the future, but no matter who the ship you build hurts, even if it destroys the world, the owner who made it, everyone must love it. In this world, only those who build it can't deny it, can't blame it, and a man should stand up for the boat he built. Thompson took the barbed boat stuck in his chest. The harpoon was pulled out, spurting out a lot of blood, but roared unwaveringly. This is the roar of a boatman, the teaching of his outlook on life and education, and the initial heart of a boatman. Everyone at the scene was shocked by the professional ethics and persistence of this Murloc boatman. Although many of them did not understand, the impact of these few words was deeply imprinted in the hearts of many people, especially Tom's disciple. Frankie and Water Hill. Boss, I like this Murloc. Enel's tone was full of admiration. Enel seldom admires a person, because he is arrogant, powerful, and even dictatorial in thinking. Only a few people can make him agree, such as Hawkeye who has the same strength as him. But it's very, very difficult to let Enel personally say that he likes and appreciates someone weaker than him. But just these few words moved Enel, even his favorite apple stopped, and looked at the scene in the square with a serious face. Hee, it's really a good boatman, I read it right. Enel. De smiled slightly, and his eyes showed appreciation. For this very professional Murloc, De admired him very much in his previous life, and felt sorry for his ending. Fortunately, he came this time not too late. If you want to add a crime, why don't you have excuses? Advertisement. Manufactured such a cross-age product as the Sea Train, but because of the incompetence of the world government, he was convicted of a crime and even framed now, but no one would believe this great Murloc who selflessly dedicated himself to the capital of Seven Waters. Fools, a bunch of idiots. Boss, do you need to save him? Enel's hands turned into sky blue lightning, taking the initiative for the first time, and said at the same time, it's a pity for such a person to die here. Wait a little longer. Taking him away now will not be too fulfilling. Di did not agree, but said lightly. Yes, boss. Enel was a little puzzled. Enel was immature in grasping people's hearts. After all, he had too little experience, but he knew what Di said at 2.7 must be right, so he paid attention silently. Next, Tom shocks everyone by beating Spandam out of the blue. I didn't expect Tom to be so dangerous. Sure enough, the nature is Murloc. Murloc and us will not coexist. He really sold his soul to the pirates. I have built so many warships just waiting for this opportunity. Among the crowd, the residents of the seven water capitals made sounds of disgust and crusade. What an ugly human nature. The masses are often ignorant, precisely because they are ignorant, so they can only look at some things with their own eyes, and look at things that they can see. Advertisement. 132. Ridiculous charges. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Judge, I pled guilty to attacking the justice ship, but I have a request. Tom suddenly said. If building a sea train can offset one crime, I hope to use it to offset today's crime. Even if you agree to your request, it's just going back to the original point. Just because you build the ship of One Piece, it's enough to betray you to death. The presiding judge said. Ah, that's better. Tom said with bright eyes, I'm so proud to be able to contribute to someone like Roger. How barbaric. You actually think that One Piece is proud of your contribution. Traitor. Savage Murlocs. Smelly Murloc. There was a sound of angry curses and accusations from the crowd. Tom has long seen through the facts and the ambition of the world government, and smiled at his disciple. No matter what happens to me, I have already contributed to this city, and my dream has finally begun to sail. He took all the blame on himself and won the last hope for his apprentice. In order to prevent the world government's conspiracy from succeeding, he would rather be scolded and accused alone. What should be done has been done, and the last thing he wants to miss have. Selfless, hardy, dedicated to admirable life. Advertisement. Boom. He fell heavily to the ground and passed out. Ha 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 ha. Go and arrest the 3 criminals who attacked the judicial ship. Spandam got up from the ground, laughing triumphantly, with hatred and anger shining in his eyes. Marine quickly surrounded the 3 of them. Handle the hand. Di said flatly. Before the words fell, Enel couldn't bear it long ago, and turned into lightning and appeared in the center of the square in an instant. Zzz. Electric light. With a sharp shout, the thunder and lightning were quickly released from his body, forming a net, and instantly enveloped the surrounding marine. In an instant, many marines were electrified, screaming one after another, and images of skeletons appeared one by one. Thump, thump. Advertisement. They rolled their eyes one by one, and fell to the ground, twitching every day. Who dares to stop the world government from catching criminals? Do you want to make an enemy of the world government? Spandam was startled immediately, knocked down more than 100 marine soldiers in an instant, and immediately shrank under his bodyguard CP5 behind him, roared. When you hear world government, basically all pirates will be scared, but that is an existence that surpasses naval headquarters. Yeah, I want to make an enemy of the world government, but so what? Di's indifferent voice sounded slowly. As soon as these words came out, everyone turned their heads to look, and the crowd automatically parted a road. A figure appeared and slowly walked into the square. When Spandam heard this, he was very angry for a moment, and even openly challenged the majesty of the world government, with a straight face like a reprimand. You. But as soon as you uttered the words, he couldn't continue, his pupils dilated, and the cold sweat on his forehead fell like rain in an instant. Poof. His knees softened, and he was so frightened that he knelt on the ground, trembling. D-ye. The whole scene was silent for an instant, and all the Marines were extremely tense for an instant. An invisible pressure was pressing on their bodies, and each of them held a gun in their hands, fighting lightly and uncontrollably. CP5 stared speechlessly at the officer kneeling on the ground panting heavily. They were also speechless with such an officer. They were still their immediate superiors. Damn it, it's a shame, but they must protect him. It's because of your world government's incompetence that you can't stop Roger from becoming the One Piece King, but let Roger start the Age of Great Voyages afterwards, and then blame innocent boatmen. It's a ridiculous reason. It's like pirates killing people with your Marines' guns. Does that also mean that your Marine Manufacturing Department has committed a serious crime and should be executed? D.E. sneered. Advertisement. The sound spread throughout the audience, and everyone felt as if they were in the same room. Obviously feel that the strong words are unreasonable, but I can't tell the reason, but it is definitely very reasonable. Quote. Emperor. 1. What do you want to do? This is world government's business. Spandam, who was helped up by his subordinates, was a little scared, but seemed to think of something, and shouted forcefully. Hee. So what? Dee looked at the jumping clown coldly. Spandam's face was completely red, and he couldn't say a word. So what? Just one sentence, but made him dare not answer. So, it's nothing more than the incompetence of your world government and naval headquarters. It's a ridiculous reason, ridiculous city. Shi's words did not conceal his contempt for world government and naval headquarters. Is Marine angry? So what about anger? They can't do anything. What kind of existence is DE? Buster Call, the highest level in Marine history, has failed in an unprecedented battle. What ability do they have to resist? I've accepted this Murloc. It's just a false accusation. It's really ridiculous. DE announced directly, his voice unquestionable. Advertisement. 133. When the killing is in progress, 4th watch for rewards. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Now, Spandam is in a hurry. He is for Pluton's drawings. If Tom is taken away by DE, then his plan will be completely ruined. Wait. In desperation, he called directly. But when he reacted, he found that he didn't know what to say, and he was sweating profusely. Especially when he saw DE slowly turning his head to look at him, his eyes were like looking at a dead person, which made him sweat even more like a waterfall, and the pressure increased crazily. I have devil fruit, let's trade it. If you give me the Murloc, I'll give you the devil fruit, and even give you a lot of money. Spandam suddenly took out a box from his bosom, which contained exactly it's a devil fruit he just got, and he promised directly at the same time. DE was a little surprised. The devil fruit was in the shape of a banana, zone devil fruit. I represent the world government, DE, and I will never break my promise. Seeing that DE was really interested, Spandam became more confident, and he was ready to negotiate with DE and bargain. As long as he can bargain, he is not afraid. Kill him, and take the devil fruit back, by the way. This sentence, like a gust of hell wind, made Spandam tremble violently, waking up from the YY. The captain of CP5's expression changed drastically. He clasped Spandam's shoulder with his backhand, and kicked his feet violently. With a bang, he slashed directly, and his figure instantly turned into a sharp arrow, and he retreated crazily. CP5 also stepped back quickly, scolding the 18 generations of Spandam's ancestors in their hearts. Advertisement. You said yes, why provoke this guy? Obviously people have ignored him, and he jumped out to seek death. It doesn't matter if he dies, but they are protecting him. Once he dies, they will also be implicated. This kind of shit mood is simple. CP5 still has self-knowledge, an existence like DE, what a fart they are to contend with. Are you running faster, or faster than lightning? Have you ever been struck by lightning? Enel's teasing voice sounded in the CP5 captain's ear. Tempest kick. The CP5 captain's eyes flashed with fear, his legs swelled suddenly, and he kicked towards the place where the sound came from without hesitation. Several invisible wind blades were born out of thin air, which were formed by the force of the body, like sharp slashes, enveloping Enel. However, physical attacks have absolutely no effect on those with Logia fruit abilities. Not even a moment of time can stop it. The sharp slash split Enel's thunderbolt into 2 sections, and the next moment, it returned to its original state. Advertisement. Boom. The wind blade slashed by Tempest kick struck the ground, leaving a deep groove on the bluestone slab. Hey, this CP5's physical skill training has reached a certain level. Enel grinned ferociously, his figure condensed into shape, and suddenly appeared in front of the CP5 captain who had just finished kicking and hadn't had time to retract his feet. Stretch out the index finger, gather all the strength on the index finger, and grinned, finger out. In an instant, the index finger instantly turned into a phantom, entangled between the lightning and flint. Surrounding the sky blue electric current, with terrifying power, directly inserted into his chest. No. Impossible. The CP5 captain exclaimed with his eyes wide open. Poof. A large mouthful of blood spewed out of his mouth, and he fell heavily to the ground with a plop. T. Puff. Enel withdrew his sclerotic fingers, stained with clear and enviable scarlet blood. Zzz. The electric current flickered, electrolyzing the blood incomparably quickly. Advertisement. The captain of CP5 coughed up a big mouthful of blood, lingering on his last breath. His whole body was twitching crazily with a blue current running across his surface. Even so, the horrified look on his face still hasn't disappeared. He stared at Enel and said, How could you? 0. It's a pity that before he finished speaking, the vitality in his eyes had been destroyed by the blue current. He tilted his head, and there was no more sound. Even if he died at this time, the current on his body was still flowing on the surface of his body from time to time. There was even a smell of burnt cooking coming from the corpse. If someone can dissect CP5's body, they will find that all internal organs have been electrocuted and destroyed by a powerful electric current. In the electric finger just now, Enel not only used the terrible penetration of the Marine 6 style's index finger, but also entangled it. The thunder of heaven's punishment surrounding him, no matter which body it is, even his flesh. The body is extremely powerful, but the internal organs are still extremely fragile. Enel has practiced till now, and finger pistol practiced the best. De let them practice without imprisoning their thinking, especially Enel really developed a move that is more suitable for him out of these 10 moves. This move, as long as the defense is broken through, it can basically be said to be fatal. Internal organs are basically extremely fragile, whose internal organs can withstand the explosion of a powerful lightning that is compressed to the size of a finger. How could you finger pistol? Spoon. Advertisement. 134. Vulnerable, one more subscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. How could you finger pistol? A voice of exclamation sounded from the side. What the captain of CP5 didn't say was said by his team members at this time. Maybe he died in peace. I saw 4 CP5 players, protecting Spandam, looking at Enel in disbelief, and the captain who died on the ground. Marine 6 styles, a secret skill that can only be learned by officers and generals who have reached a certain top level in Marine. This is a super physical skill that physicists dream of. It can make them superhuman and crush Devil Fruit's ability. But the other party is obviously not a Marine, but a pirate, or a famous pirate. It is impossible to stay in a Marine, how could he be a finger pistol? The movement, and the power caused by it, even the most common finger pistol aimed at, piercing the chest, are all exactly the same. Definitely finger pistol, but with his Devil Fruit ability attached. Why can't I? Enel curled his lips in disdain. Tread. Stepping on the ground with his toes, his body bounced up suddenly, and his feet kicked 19 steel knives wildly in the air. A series of air blades were born in the air, and directly enveloped the 4 of them. Hiss. The wind blade sliced through the air, making a clear sound of piercing the air. Advertisement. I can still do Tempest Kick. Enel looked at the stunned 4 and grinned. Wind blade is not as powerful as finger pistol. After all, Enel has not practiced Marine 6 styles for a long time, and he has not spent much time on Tempest Kick. After all, this kind of attack is a waste of energy for him. It is better to create the labor saving from thunder and lightning is also a waste of energy anyway. The pupils of the 4 CP5 shrank to the shape of a needle point in an instant, and the genuine Tempest Kick was not at all false. Iron body. Iron body. Paper arts. Paper arts. The 4 quickly cast their defenses or avoided their moves. Iron body, one of the 6 styles of defensive skills. Drummed strength into a leanly exercised body, giving it the hardness of iron. Not even bullets and swords can break through. The fly in the ointment is that you can't move freely when using iron body. Paper arts, one of the 6 styles of defensive skills. Unloading the whole body strength, through the change of airflow produced by the opponent's movements, he can dodge the attack towards himself in a matter of seconds. Boom. The air wind blade tore the clothes on the chests of the 2 men, and hit their muscles, not only did not break the skin, but also made the sound of metal slashing on the iron. In addition, people's figure directly avoids the wind blade in the air, and people have to sweat for them when they see them. The air blade smashed to the ground. Advertisement. Puff. Puff. 2 traces remain. Cracks. Cut. Enel curled his lips in disdain. The power was a little too weak, and he really didn't like this Tempest Kick. Crackling. Turning into lightning, his figure instantly appeared in front of the 4 of them, with an endless chill in Dazi's eyes. Electric finger. The index finger wrapped with astonishing electric current pierces the chests of the 4 people at the same time like 4 clones. This is the phantom caused by the speed reaching a certain level. Puff. 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 So what if it senses the attacking airflow? Can't react in time. Even with the hardness of iron body. Can't stop it at all. 4 ferocious blood holes appeared on the chests of the 4 people, and the blood instantly stained the skirts of the 4 people red. The 4 looked at Enel, who had reappeared in disbelief, with fear and nostalgia for life in their pupils. So fast. Advertisement. Poof. He fell heavily on the ground, slowly soaked in blood, and there was no more sound. There were blood holes in the chests of the 4 people, and there was no more blood soon, because the internal organs had been scorched by the powerful electric current. Too unchallenging. Enel flicked his fingers. This kind of Superman in the eyes of ordinary people is actually just a little stronger than ordinary people in their eyes. Of course, the main reason for this is that Enel's transformation into lightning is too fast. Even observation hockey hasn't awakened, so how can he avoid it? Don't kill me 387. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I'll give you the devil fruit. Give it to you. Seeing Enel staring at him, Spandam couldn't control his body anymore, and then there was a faint smell of stench and urine in the air. Between Spandam's legs, the trousers were wet, and there were clear water marks on the bluestone. I was so frightened that I became incontinent. He didn't even think about it. The CP5 that protected him was already very strong in his eyes, but he died one-sidedly in a short period of time. Hastily took out the devil fruit from his arms and threw it at Enel. Enel took the devil fruit speechlessly and looked at the Spandam. To be honest, he didn't even bother to do it with such a thing. Can this kind of trash get such a high position? Marine is really blind. Enel complained speechlessly. Enel can't understand how this shit can be scared to pee and become the immediate boss of CP5. How did Marine do it? Ah, bastard. Let you hurt Mr. Tom. Let you frame Mr. Tom. Advertisement. 135. A material for being a pirate seeking flowers. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. And just when Enel was thinking about sending Spandam to hell directly with a flash of lightning, a figure suddenly jumped out from the side, holding a gun in his hand, acting as a stick, and directly hit Spandam on the ground, while saying roaring. Ah. Bastard. Let you hurt Mr. Tom. Let you frame Mr. Tom. Isn't it the young Frankie? Slammed Spandam in the face mercilessly. Boom. Immediately, the whole house was smashed into flowers, and Spandam's sharp sound sounded. At this time, Frankie was young, and he had no scruples at all. When he was angry, he had a violent factor in his heart, and he was quick, accurate and ruthless. Enel curled his lips, didn't bother to do anything, and directly returned to DE with the devil fruit. Boss, I brought devil fruit, but I'm too lazy to kill it, it's too rubbish, and I'm being demoted by that kid. Enel said truthfully. Advertisement. Well, it's just a piece of trash, as long as the devil fruit 190 is brought back. DE didn't bother to care about Spandam's clowns at all, he only cared about devil fruit. Hundreds of Marines surrounded the square, holding guns, but no one dared to make a move. They all looked at the scene in the center of the square in fear and horror. DE, don't go too far. Tom is from our capital of Seven Waters, you can't take him away. The head of the capital of Seven Waters, that is, the judge, roared angrily. This she is long, and almost half of his feet have been buried in the ground, so he doesn't care about life and death. Hee. DE sneered, pointing to the unconscious Tom on the ground and said, really? Did you take him as a member of your capital of Seven Waters? The cross-age product of making sea trains can not only make people the capital of the Seven Waters has truly prospered, and it may even become a trade center in the future. It has a place in this sea, just because he built a boat for Roger. Marine's incompetence, you blame a boatman. Want him to die, quote. The judge choked, his old face flushed red, and he was speechless. He and Tom are friends in private, and he also knows how ridiculous this is, but how can he change the crimes imposed by the world government? Originally thought it could be offset, but such a thing happened today. DE said again. Do you know what the last words he said before he passed out? The judge looked puzzled. What is it? Advertisement. No matter what happens to me, I have already contributed to this city, and my dream has finally begun to sail. DE narrated slowly, with a strong sarcasm in his eyes. And this is how you treat a person who has selflessly dedicated everything to this city. The judge was ashamed at this moment, unable to say a word. Let's go. DE didn't bother to worry about the next thing, he turned and left directly. Tom Boatman was his goal, he needed a top boatman to solve the problem of Sky Island for him. Enel carried Tom and followed behind. By the way, bring that kid with you too. DE suddenly stopped and pointed at Frankie who was still BJAH beating Spandam. Enel froze for a moment, a little puzzled, what's the use of a child, but still nodded. Yes, because. In a flash, Frankie was already in Enel's hands. And Spandam was lying in a pool of blood, his whole face was completely smashed, his limbs were twisted, his whole body was horrible, and his life and death were unknown. Needless to say, Enel took a look and felt a little surprised, this kid is really ruthless. Advertisement. Well, it's material for being a pirate. But being caught by Enel, Frankie was very honest and didn't struggle at all. Can you let Mr. Tom and Frankie go? A thin figure suddenly blocked DE's way, looking at DE timidly, with horror in his eyes, the little face was pale and obviously very nervous. Bingshan, come back quickly. A mermaid girl who was also Tom's secret technique Kay Keluo screamed. DE, such pirates are not something they can provoke, even the Marines of the world government are killed at will, let alone ordinary people. But Bingshan had a stubborn face. In fact, it was mainly because he heard what DE thought Tom said, which was obviously aimed at Tom, so he stood up. If he can save Tom and his best friend, Frankie, the person he hates the most, he is willing to fight. Bingshan, in the anime, serves as the head of Water 7 and the president of Carrera Company, and is also one of the legendary shipbuilders, Tom's apprentices. Much loved and adored by the citizens of Water 7. In order to prevent the design of the ancient weapon, Pluton, handed over to him by the Master Tom from falling into the hands of the world government, he not only donated the design to Frankie, but also used 8 years to merge the 7 companies of the entire Water 7, and cooperating with the world government, let Carrera become the shipbuilding company of the world government, so that the officials of the world government cannot start with the iceberg. A very capable and intelligent character, unlike Frankie, who has a talent for building weapons and ships, but has no brains and is only suitable for being a boatman. Advertisement. 136. The place where Marine can't find open black lens bracket seek full order close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In this situation, Marine didn't dare to make a sound, but he still dared to stand up. Are you afraid? Of course he was afraid. Looking at his legs, they were shaking like a sieve, and his whole body revealed a look of fear. If it wasn't for the courage in his heart to support him, he would probably have fallen to the ground directly. Dee looked at the iceberg stubbornly standing in front of her, smiled slightly, and said, "Do you really want them to stay?" Marine still won't let them go. Staying means that today's interrogation will start again, and even this you will also be implicated in killing the officials of the world government for the second time, so you have added another crime to your body. 703. Bingshan looked very flustered. He didn't think about these problems at all, he just wanted to let Tom and Fuadai stay at work. Yes, if today's interrogation is repeated again, they will still be tried and taken away, so if you let Mr. Tom stay, don't you harm him. Should I do this myself? If Mr. Tom was taken away, it would be a very good choice. If Tom was allowed to choose, based on his understanding of Mr. Tom, he would probably not leave, because Tom has devoted countless efforts to this city. Just as they passed by, Dee said in a low voice, "If the world government can't get Pluton's blueprint, won't it let you give it to the world?" Advertisement. Bingshan's thin body was visible to the naked eye, his pupils dilated, revealing an expression of disbelief. Stiffly turning his head to look at Dee's tall figure, he murmured, How could he know? Bingshan, guard this city well. Guard Tom's dream well. One day, he will come back. This is the place where his dream started to set sail. Dee's voice echoed in Bingshan's ear. Where are you going to take Mr. Tom? Bingshan chased after him, but only a faint figure could be seen. Where Marine and world government can't find. But Dee's voice still came clearly. Standing on the spot, he stared blankly at the several tall figures who disappeared into the building. There were too many things that happened in this day, and Bingshan was caught off guard. This day was also a day for him to transform. Where is the place where Marine and world government can't find? Bingshan murmured in a low voice that only he could hear. On the square of the capital of Seven Waters, Marine finally started to move. The one in CP5, whether he is dead or not, send someone to check it, and heal it if he is still alive. At the same time, deal with the dead body, pack it up and wait for people from the world government to come and claim it. Said the interrogator sharply. Yes, sir. Advertisement. Send 2 teams of people to appease the emotions of the people. Yes, Chief Shi. Heitu, come with me and report to the world government what happened here just now. Okay, Chief Shi. Hey, what's the matter? The interrogator looked at the direction where Dee disappeared, shook his head, and left the square with his assistant. Immediately, there was a sound in the square. This person still has a faint heartbeat. Damn, the vitality is too tenacious. It's not dead. It's really horrible. I heard that this person is an official of the world government. Get the doctor quickly. As long as you don't die, there will be fewer implicated places in our city. Soon, news spread from the world government to naval headquarters. This kind of matter, the world government generally only entrusts naval headquarters to be responsible, and it cannot be passed on at all. Advertisement. In the conference room, Marine Marshal Sora, Marshal Sengoku, Marine Hero Garp, Marine Vice Admiral and Marine General Staff Suru, Marine 3 Admiral, all present. Although it was only a small matter, it was worth pondering when Roger and Dee were involved. After all, Dee is now the object of their close attention. Sora was speechless. I am about to retire. Why can't I let him retire safely with so many troubles? But looking at the pair of concerned eyes, Sora could only sigh inwardly, and his face became serious. Sengoku, tell everyone what happened. Yes, Marshal, Sengoku responded, and said directly, there is news from the world government. Today, the Secret Service Agency CP5 directly under the world government and the governor of the capital of Seven Waters tried the former criminal Murloc Tom. Made a pirate ship for Roger, but in 1.7, because it wants to build a sea train for the capital of Seven Waters, it applied for a delay in execution. The completion of the sea train would have offset the Hey, Sengoku, let's get to the point. Marshal Sora looked at Sengoku, who was scripted speechlessly, and interrupted mercilessly. They are all people who want to succeed the marshal. How can they be so wordy? No matter what they do, they must be simple and clear. This is a wise and decisive marshal, and the discussion is also behind the scenes. Now it's just a story. Everyone is a person of status and is very busy. How can I have time to listen to him narrate the whole thing here? Advertisement. 137. De's intention, seeking flowers. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Ahem. Sengoku coughed a few times in embarrassment, and said again, to put it simply, when the world government CP5 chief was about to take Tom away today, De appeared and took away Tom and his disciples, killing 5 CP5 people at the same time. The CP5 chief is still being rescued. Isn't this good? Simple and clear, the characters and the main things are all out. Ha ha ha. Sengoku, are you nervous? You can't even describe one thing clearly. Garp grinned and laughed mercilessly. Shut up, Garp, I'm not nervous about being a marshal. Sengoku's face darkened immediately, and he scolded angrily, but the last sentence was a bit redundant, and he accidentally said what was in his heart. It seems that there is no silver 300 taels here, anyone can understand. Ha 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 ha. Garp smiled even more happily. Advertisement. But Sengoku was so angry that he couldn't speak. Who? Okay. Be quiet. Kong knocked on table 19, glared at the two of them angrily, and said, the purpose of this meeting is to talk about De's intentions. I always feel that he has other purposes. This person is very danger. As soon as De was mentioned, Sengoku and Garp immediately fell silent, with a haze covering their faces. The same is true for the 3 admirals, their faces became extremely ugly, and the last humiliation made them unforgettable for life. Returning to the matter itself, today De suddenly appeared in the City of Water, accompanied by Enel, who ate the thunder fruit, and the great swordsman Black Rose. Why did he suddenly take Tom the boatman away this time? What special relationship does this Tom have with De? Kong said calmly. It doesn't matter. I have checked out the people De has been in contact with over the years. He has never been to the capital of 7 waters. Tom has been building sea trains. The two have no intersection at all. Sengoku directly asked Kaido. By the way, is there any movement on 9 Snakes Island? Kong looked at Kizaru. Kizaru, who has been the fastest all this time, stared at 9 Snakes Island, in order to keep an eye on De. Advertisement. There was no movement, and I didn't notice that De left 9 Snakes Island. Kizaru's face was a bit embarrassed. He didn't even notice that De had left 9 Snake Island, let alone landed on Snake Island. Some time ago, there have been rumors that De appeared on Leluka Island. It seems that we really need to go and investigate. Akainu said suddenly. That is to say, we don't even know when De will leave 9 Snakes Island. Chief of Staff Crane said. Kizaru has a thick skin, but now it's really a bit embarrassing. Obviously Calm Belt has been watched by Marine, but Why Mao didn't see it, and De has already appeared in the sea. Well, after Sengoku and Garp fought De last time, on the same day, 4 Emperors Shanks rushed to 9 Snake Island and stayed for a while, which means that 4 Emperors Shanks probably went to help De. There the relationship is definitely not shallow. Sora asked a question again. Garp, didn't you say that De and Shanks are just acquaintances? Sengoku poked at Kapu, who was secretly eating donuts. Cough cough cough. Garp choked suddenly, swallowed it with difficulty, and said angrily, how do I know? I was just guessing. Can you believe what the pirates say? After all, there is only that Shanks in the information. That kid came into contact with De, and one contact would make him come to support in such a situation. Their relationship is definitely not to that level. Advertisement. Garp is right. The relationship between De and Shanks is definitely not to that extent, but on the other hand, there is definitely a relationship between them. We don't know what the relationship is. The two have to put a question mark. Chief of Staff Crane nodded and said. Well, I heard that another mysterious person went to 9 Snakes Island. According to the intelligence agency's speculation, he was a member of the Revolutionary Army. Kong looked at Garp again. Garp, your son has contacted De, and both of them he's a very dangerous person. Everyone in the meeting room looked at Garp, especially the newly promoted 3 admirals. They have reached this level and know a little more information. This marine hero is too awesome. As a marine hero, 910 has absolute prestige, but who knows that his son is the first enemy of the world government, the leader of the Revolutionary Army. HMPH, how do I know that kid? Garp snorted, a look of disappointment flashed quickly in his eyes. After all, as a marine hero, he really hoped that his offspring would become characters in the marine, but he never thought that his son, who was not doing well in the marine, suddenly went to the counter-revolutionary. Kong didn't make things difficult for Garp. After all, Long was the one they watched and grew up together. He is strong and talented. In their hearts, he has long been the candidate for Marine and Admiral. Now the three Admiral. Also, when Di left from the capital of Seven Waters, he said a word to Bingshan, another disciple of Tom. Marine and world government can't find it. Kong glanced at the crowd. Think about it, everyone. What is the hidden meaning of this sentence? Why is Di so confident? Advertisement. 138. Revolutionary, one watch for flowers. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The scene was silent, where the Marine and world government couldn't find it. Deserted islands. Undeveloped islands. Islands that have not appeared on the sea route. There are always strange places that the navigation pointer cannot pass. This world is huge, and it is impossible for the Marine and world government forces to spread over all sea areas and supervise all sea areas. Maybe it's just the discovery of an undeveloped island. Sengoku muttered softly. Yes, it's just an undeveloped island, and it's impossible for the Marine to supervise it, and the world government can't find it either. Then the question comes back to itself, so why did Di take Tom away? And come here in person? Sora said again. The conference room fell into silence again. Everyone was thinking hard, and the chief of staff, he even wrote and drew in his notebook, which recorded in detail about Di's deeds, as well as relationship diagrams, important things he had seen characters, currently owned subordinates. Crane looks much younger at this time than it will look more than 10 years later, not only the peak combat power of naval headquarters, but also terrible intelligence, and also a good friend of Garp and Sengoku. Taking away the shipbuilder, of course, is for shipbuilding. Garp whispered from the side. Advertisement. In this environment, Garp's complaints are very clear even if they are small. After all, the people here are not only of high status, but also of high strength. Usually Garp's complaints will be suppressed, but this time. Shipbuilding. Sengoku frowned. But why does he want to build a boat? Doesn't he already have a boat? Kizaru wondered. It's a warship. Crane's voice suddenly sounded. Everyone jerked their heads up, including Garp, to look at the crane. If my guess is correct, what Di wants Tom to build as a warship? He Jung said. Tom, a Murloc, has a gentle personality and is the #1 shipbuilder in the world. He built a cross-generational product like a sea train. The craftsmanship in shipbuilding is even better than that of the master shipbuilder in our marine. At that time, the world government trial also considered many factors. We can imagine that this shipbuilder can build a warship comparable to marine. The most important thing is that looking at what Di has experienced during this period, we can know that Di will never calm down. Since then, he has done everything unscrupulously, and with his strength his ambitions are getting bigger and bigger, but why there is no movement during this period of time? It must be because his plan is huge this time, and he also needs to plan, and this game is likely to be very big. After all, what kind of boatman is there? Can you be more powerful than the world's #1 shipbuilder, and make a stronger ship? According to Di's appetite, the warships he built must reach the level of marine warships. Otherwise, he would not have personally acted like a corporal, and said such words with obvious intentions in the square. At the same time, this also shows that Di valued Tom's ability very much. From this point of view, Di is likely to become the next dragon, and his strength and mind are even more terrifying than dragons. Hiss hiss. Advertisement. As soon as Staff Officer E's words of analysis came out, there was a gasp in the conference room. Creak. Marshal Sora Marine stood up from his seat, with an unprecedented seriousness on his face, and directly ordered, Kizaru, it is completely useless to withdraw all the troops monitoring Snake Island. Akainu, together with Kizaru, quickly search from the capital of Seven Waters, check the possible direction of Di, and find out his current base. You must not let him continue to develop. Aokiji, according to the rumors, quickly find out the truth, whether Di has actually been to those places, and what he has done. I need all the detailed records of everything about Di. Swish, swish, swish. Kizaru, Akainu, and Aokiji jumped up from their seats immediately, with their eyes shining. Yes. Marshal. Now, you can do it. Kong Li shouted. The three of them walked away quickly, without any delay, as long as they had something to do with Di, their fighting spirit was high. Advertisement. Let's continue the discussion. Intense discussions sounded again in the meeting room. This time, no one deserted, including Garp, who had been out of tune. Monkey D. Dragon. Such a character and force, it is enough to appear only one, because he understands the operation mode of Marine well enough. But the emergence of the second one, Marine and world government, is absolutely not allowed. Even if there is only a sign, they must contain it. This is not as simple as a pirate group, but a revolution, which is much more threatening and terrifying than the Four Emperors. In order to stabilize Di last time, Marine compromised. But Marine allows the appearance of a Four Emperors again, and even has a reputation close to that of Roger, the One Piece, but absolutely does not allow a revolutionist to appear. Revolution represents the overthrow of the world government and the arrogance of today's world structure. Even if there is a slight hint, it must be killed. Isn't the current regime, the world government, the way it came about back then? It's a pity that they never imagined that the regime established by DE is in the sky, at an altitude of 10,000 meters, whether it is for the marine or the world government, it is too difficult to reach DE. In this vast sea, after all, it is nothing but fetching water from a bamboo basket. Advertisement. 139. Discovery of an oil field. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Of course, DE didn't know about the Naval Headquarters General Staff, at this time, but based on a small amount of information, through his character, and the relationship diagram of events, he had vaguely guessed his blueprint. Such wisdom is worthy of being the General Staff of Marine. However, even if you guessed it, so what? They can't stop it either. When they found DE's base area, they could only watch, but they could do nothing. The sky was 10,000 meters, and the large Marine army was almost damaged when they reached it. And by that time DE has become their biggest enemy, no third. Back at Sky Island, Tom woke up, only to find that he was no longer in the capital of Seven Waters. DE didn't talk to him too much, let them have a good chat, and Frankie will tell him everything after he passed out. DE asked Gon Foer to communicate with Tom. After all, the age of the two is at the right place, and Tom has long complained about the world government. After all, Murlocs and humans cannot coexist. The biggest enemy is celestial dragons. Advertisement. Soon, Tom was ready to start work. Frankie is also at an age of curiosity. The altitude of 10,000 meters is not something they have been able to touch before, and he is full of curiosity about everything. Especially the various shells of Sky Island are also the most important resources. Being able to use Coca-Cola as an energy source, Frankie's whimsical talent in mechanical energy is indeed extraordinary, and even Tom has not fully covered this aspect. At the same time, DE began to collect the current shell resources of Angel Island. Shells refer to special shells that exist in Sky Island. Daily life in Sky Island makes extensive use of shells as lamps, stoves, and even recorders. The use of shellfish can be said to be a special culture on Sky Island. There are several types of shellfish that have appeared on Sky Island. Types of shells: ordinary shells, double shells, huge shells, and spray shells. Functional shell types: cloud shells can eject clouds with a fixed shape, sound shells can record and play, water shells, light shells, hot shells, flame shells, flash shells, taste shells absorb and release odors. When absorbing fart smell, it can emit foul-smelling gas, which is flammable. Image shell camera function. Types of cut shells: impact shells, and row shells. Advertisement. Among them, cloud shells can only be used on the White Sea due to climate problems, while other shells can continue to be used in the blue ocean. Therefore, Bay's resources are unique to Sky Island and very popular energy. As long as the shell is not damaged, it can be used almost infinitely. It is the most environmentally friendly and sustainable good clean energy. Tom quickly got into work, because DE told him that as long as he helped him develop quickly, he would have the opportunity to return to Qinghai soon. With Tom's guidance, the skills of DE's shipwrights are improving rapidly, and Tom is also willing to give advice to these shipwrights, with the assistance of Triss, Mumu Fruit ability, and the centuries-old veterans on Mount Dora. Trees are arguably the boatmaker's favorite wood for making. The efficiency is simply terrifying. Regardless of any shape, any density, or even softness, Tom can say in one go. This also gives Triss the best sense of catalyzing Devil Fruit's ability. After all, this is the world's #1 shipbuilder, and his understanding of wood is unmatched by anyone. Gon Foer was in awe of DE's methods, and he could bring back such a capable person just by going out. Ask for flowers, 0. He is knowledgeable, and what is even more commendable is that he reveals a professional spirit everywhere, and he is dedicated to the boat. The two quickly became good friends who talked about everything. 43,207,219,161,540,500. Advertisement. Gon Fall often invites Tom to his home to explain to him some special products of Sky Island, which also open Tom's eyes. He is a Murloc, and he has seen many things that people in Qinghai don't know, but in Sky Island, these things are not something they can see. Magical material. Cloud. This strange material gave him some very good inspiration. To DE's surprise, in the land of Shandora, he actually used underground detectors to find a large amount of iron ore and copper mines, and even the cloth oil field. This made DE very happy. Iron light and copper ore represented a large number of weapons, and oil was even more useful. In this world, many people regard petroleum as a kind of oil that smells bad and has no practical value. Although it can burn, it has a lot of bad smell. But in De's eyes, this is more attractive and valuable than gold. In the previous life, the United States did not hesitate to launch a war against Yilik for the sake of oil and energy. It is conceivable that this thing is an important strategic reserve resource. De's eyes are shining. No one in this world will use oil, even if it is mined, it will be regarded as garbage. Petroleum, one of the main objects of geological exploration, is a viscous, dark brown liquid known as the blood of industry. Petroleum is mainly used as fuel oil and gasoline, and is also a raw material for many chemical industry products, such as solutions, fertilizers, pesticides, and plastics. Advertisement. 140. Surrounding Cloud Shinobi Village. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The main components of petroleum are oily, this is its main component, colloid, a viscous semi-solid substance, asphaltene, dark brown or black brittle solid substance, and carbonaceous. Petroleum is a colored, flammable oily liquid that is mainly composed of hydrocarbons and has a special smell. Strictly speaking, petroleum is mainly composed of hydrocarbons composed of hydrogen and carbon. The chemicals that make up petroleum can be broken down by distillation. As processed products, crude oil includes kerosene, benzene, gasoline, paraffin, asphalt, etc. Fuel oil and gasoline are the main energy sources used by many machines. The heat energy provided by combustion is beyond imagination. It is not comparable to Frankie's use of cola as energy, which can only be used once. If the warships of the previous life can be manufactured, even if they are small, they cannot be compared with the current warships. Of course, it is impossible to become fat by eating rice in one bite, it needs to be done step by step. At the same time, DE used the collected special shells to form an armed shell army. After all, they are natives, and they are particularly easy to adapt to shell battles. After all, this thing has been around them since they were born. Advertisement. DE also found that, in fact, angel people, because they live in the thin air at an altitude of 10,000 meters, their physiques are stronger and have potential than blue ocean people, but they didn't know how to systematically exercise and develop their physical strength before, so that only using shells to fight, but ignoring their own strength, causing them to be vulnerable once they meet a real master. Comprehensively improving their physical fitness and controlling their own strength can allow them to better use their shells to fight, and the combat effectiveness of the Angel Legion will be greatly increased in an instant. The island of angels is changing rapidly, and all directions are developing according to the direction set by DE. Every day, change can be seen. Life is no longer as leisurely as before, but it is very dynamic. Gonfoer has gradually become numb to DE's same tricks. He seems to have been opened up to the new world, just like a rural child entering the city for the first time. It turns out that this world is so big. Water. Active. On this day, DE selected 300 best trained fighters from the training camp, and headed towards the Sandia village on the warship built by Tom. Since the Sandias were driven out of the island of gods by the Sky Islanders, the war between the two sides has begun for more than 400 years, and there are conflicts every year. Guerrilla warfare, ambush warfare, sneak attack warfare. Advertisement. Gonfoer knew the other party very well, but he didn't know the location of the specific village of the other party. But these are very good for DE. During this period of time, DE has made great progress in observation hockey by studying Xinhuang, and he faintly feels that he is not far from the realm of listening to everything. It has to be said that Thunder Fruit really complements this heart network, or it can be said that this heart network itself was developed by those who have the ability of Thunder Fruit. For Enel, it is easy to grab, which makes DE very envious. Combined with the ability of Thunder Fruit, it can accept radio waves invisible to the naked eye in the air, greatly enhancing the ability and scope of the heart network, and can hear secret whispers in a wide range. Soon, Enel found the village where the Sandia people are now living, Cloud Shinobi Village. Dang. Alarm bells are ringing at Cloud Shinobi Village as they are surrounded. One by one, the Sandias rushed out with weapons in their hands. The base camp has been discovered, and they will fight to the death. Advertisement. During the confrontation, an old man slowly walked out from the Sandia crowd, who was also the chief of the Sandia people at this time. Gonfall, what do you want to do? Do you want to start a war? A sharp voice rang out. Looking at his old friend, who has been fighting with him for many years, Gonfall sighed a little, shook his head and said, I don't want to start a war, after all, we have been together for so many years. Then what do you want to do? Chief Sandia was a little puzzled. I'm not a god now. Gonfall said suddenly. What? The chief was taken aback for a moment, and then he suddenly said, sure enough, the changes in the Angel Island a while ago were not caused by you. The mood suddenly became very angry. Gonfoer, you dare to cut down the trees on the island of the gods. Didn't you promise me that you will not move the soil and trees on it? Why do you want to cut down the trees to build warships now? Do you think we are blind? How could it be possible that the Sandia didn't notice the movements of the island of gods during this time, and even carried out guerrilla warfare on a small scale, but they were repelled? De also didn't want such a rebel army to exist in his domain, and he came here to conquer this group of Sandia just after its prototype was formed. The Sandians, the aborigines of the island of the gods. He originally lived on Gaia Island in Qinghai, but was driven out of his homeland by the god of Sky Island 400 years ago as part of Gaia Island was taken up into the sky by the soaring current. They are called gorillas, and they have been fighting the Sky Island people on Angel Island for 400 years. Advertisement.